Hello and welcome to another Sonic Labs special. We're back with Tim Chandler from Nektar, who, if you saw last time, we looked at the Nektar Panorama P4 and its integration with Bitvig. You can see that just here if you want to watch that one. Today we're going to look at a sort of more, I suppose, a more geeky and nerdy look at a close-up of the tighter integration of plugins with the Panorama P4, because it allows you to kind of get right in, sort of almost under the skin of the DAW and the devices, right?
Yeah, this is what we do that's different to any other manufacturer. What the real selling point and the differentiator for the Panorama series is the depth of integration, in particular with plugin control. We spend a lot of time designing the navigation of plugins to the extent that it's a dedicated controller. I mean, it's not quite a dedicated controller, but it's probably the next best thing you can get.
And this is all done at device level. You're not looking at any sort of
one device at a time.
And it's not there's no wrapper or any other translation layer that would mean you had to run different versions of plugins, are there?
No, nothing like that. We're not touching wrappers at all. Everything we do is just a little file that goes on in the computer with our installer, and then our integration with the DAW references that file in order to realise what should be on the display, which parameters we want to control on separate pages, what the display should look like. So it really gives you a full kind of experience for that particular plugin that we map. Now we've mapped, obviously, it takes time to map a plugin. Depending on the plugin, it can be days. Right. Some of them you can do in a couple of hours, but for complicated instruments and things like some of the ones we're going to look at, it can be days, and so it's a big job. But we have done over 400. You can view which ones are supported on our website. But the other thing about our plugin mapping system is that if we're not supporting a plugin that you have, a third-party plugin that you might have, then you can map your own, do your own mapping.
Ah, right. Okay.
Just a simple kind of layout, but it gives you that option at least, so you can have control and proper feedback of your own setup for that plugin. And even the plugin maps that we've done, you can edit yourself as well.
Right, okay. So what are we looking at first, Tim?
Well, we'll start, obviously I won't go over the entire integration with Cubase. It works in a similar way to what we saw with Bitvig Mixer Instrument Transport. These are going to control what these are doing and gives you, obviously, control over whichever track is selected at the time when you're playing with the instrument. But what we really want to look at is the plugin map system, which is available within instrument mode.
Right.
And also for inserts. And I'll do the instruments first, then the inserts. But in instrument mode, you can see what you get here. You get the first 8 common parameters, and then you get the instrument name. And you can change patches, like so with the patch buttons.
Which is it might seem like a small thing to say, but I know I've found sometimes plugins don't like to work, certainly in Logic anyway, you can't scroll through presets that easily. So that's actually quite a big deal from my point of view, to be able to just browse patches through button presses.
Oh, it really is, yeah. It's 2 really important buttons on any MIDI controller, and like you say, it's not the easiest thing to bring out in integration anyway, but here they are on the Panorama, and yeah, it just speeds up workflow no end. So as we saw with Bitvig, all of the parameters are accessible from the Panorama within the menu or the Pages button. And so now we can, a good example, I guess, of the plugin map system and how detailed it is. If I go to the oscillator page of Retrolog, if I press the View button, you can see Retrolog on the display there. Right. So you can see what I'm doing. Now, if I change the type of the oscillator, different oscillators in Retrolog have some parameters that come to life. And to other controllers, those parameters would just be like a long list. But what we do with Panorama is we hide redundant parameters for the oscillator page. You can see here, as I go through, I have different types of oscillator. And when I get to the multi one, I get my detune available and my numeric one.
Right.
Now, look at how that feedback works with Retrolog. If I change the type of the oscillator here, you can see how it updates on Panorama. So when I select the multi-oscillator, I have further control that's available to me. So that's just kind of an example of how much more intuitive the feedback that you get, the information you get on the display is with Panorama. And to do that, we use what we call value-dependent mapping. And we actually, it sounds very geeky, but it basically means whatever the value of a parameter is, we can change the information on a page that you're seeing,
right.
what you're controlling. And that's actually quite important, because if I now added some stereo delay, for example, to the retro log track, and I'm going to do that in Cubase without touching Cubase, I'm going to change the plugin to be, let's see, stereo delay. I'll have my stereo delay now. Helps if I turn it on, probably. There you go. So I've pressed edit, and you can see it now here. This sync button down here actually changes the parameter that I'm controlling over here. So I've got a free delay, or I've got a sync delay.
Right, yeah. So that's
and again, that's two separate parameters in the parameter list in Cubase. So, you know, for a lot of controllers, if you wanted to map your delay, as soon as the sync button changes, it would disappear because it's changing to the parameter differently. So because of value dependent mapping, we're able to put that on here. And the other thing is you get a cryptic name. You don't just get, it's not called delay. These parameters, they're called like delay free, delay note, you know, that kind of thing. And a really cryptic description of what the parameter is, whereas we just call it delay. So this is one of the things that the plugin maps allow us to do. They allow us to really clean up that feedback that comes from the plugin.
But that's why you have to do it by hand effectively as well, right?
That's why we have to do it, you know, one at a time.
Right.
But as you can see, you get a really, really detailed navigation system, and as soon as you want to start playing around with the controls. Okay, so you just find your way around the plugin a lot easier, and it works on whichever plugin I happen to have. So if we just take a look at something I know is popular on Sonic State is the Imposter 2, and just have a look at how the navigation can work.
Because that's got a lot of parameters.
It's got a lot of parameters. It really has, and you can access them all, every single one of them. Let's just bring that up. Every single one of them with the Panorama, including even this stuff that they added on
the additive
harmonics, exactly. So let's just have a look at that. So if we go to the oscillators, and sure, yeah, we've got user waveform 1 there. So I can then go down here, and if I scroll all the way down, you can see I can edit user waveform 1.
Ah, now the faders come into.
And notice again, different door, but we've still got soft takeover working.
And this is presumably the first 8, right? Because there's more. Are there more?
Yep, 9 to 16, 17, 24. So
right,
yeah,
so you go through
all the way through as many harmonics as you want to add. So
I think that's actually quite important. It's almost, because I mean, if you could almost equate it to drawbar organ, can't you? Where you
effectively, yeah, when you're bringing in
it's
harmonics.
nice to be able to see them on faders like that.
It was a very cool feature of Imposter 2, and it was nice to be able to bring it out with a graphical, as you can see, a graphical interface. Now, I did mention, I think in a previous video, that the entire control surface is dedicated to the mode that you're in. So when you're in instrument mode, the entire control surface is dedicated to that instrument. So even though I've got my harmonics over here, I've still got control of my whatever page I was last on, which was the oscillators in this instance. So if I go to the filters, I can obviously still control my filters, but I've still got my harmonics over here as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So the entire control surface is utilised for what you want to do. Envelope page is on the faders, as it should be. Turn the filter envelope. And you see how you get a very clear and concise description of which one is which. You've got an amplitude envelope here.
Yep.
You get a filter envelope here. And these buttons also complement the faders to get you the full range of envelope parameters over these sections. And then we've got obviously the most common performance controls on the home page, such as I really like the keyboard hold, for example, because then you can go in there and start playing around with your with your parameters.
And presumably, if you're working in in real time, you can record these as automation lanes in your DAW of your choice as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. You literally just hit your override mode right in there, like so. If I press the fader page, actually, you haven't seen this, but you can see you've got a VU meter and you've got the right section there.
So that's so now, you could use that to now you can write
hit
automation.
Play and then. So you can record a filter sweep. Should have recorded. Turn the click track off. It's annoying. And you can see it changing there. And so it's really quick and easy to do your automation.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of like a quick look at VST. Well, we've seen it controlling 2 VST instruments and a VST plugin insert as well in Cubase. Yep. I'm just going to flick over to Reason because we're in rear-eye mode, and I want to show you, in particular, the control with Kong.
Kong is the sort of drum machine.
Kong's the drum machine, and you can see it here. Now again, all the feedback that you see on the display here comes from Reason. And but what's important I wanted to show you here is the way that you can fine-tune samples on your pads. So even with the stock kits, which I can change as I like, when I find a pitch that I want to play with, I can start playing around with the kit, if you like.
And this is what's interesting here is we can't even see Reason. That's it's somewhere on your computer running alongside Cubase.
Hidden underneath Reason, and Panorama really brings it to life. It's like having like a dedicated.
How does it know? How did you get into controlling Reason there? Because I mean, how does Cubase know that you're not controlling it anymore when you're controlling?
Well, there's a lot going on in the hood to make that work, as you can imagine. But from a user perspective, you hold down Shift and press the toggle view button. So you go to Cubase, go to Reason.
Ah, Cubase, right, okay.
Reason, and it brings Reason as an instrument into your workflow, if you like, because Panorama is that well integrated that it just brings it to life, like I said.
So you can obviously see there's a lot of work that's gone into the integration there, but what if a plugin or device is not integrated? How do people deal with that?
Okay, go back to Cubase and we'll see how that works. Okay, so we've got Predator on here.
The Rob Parpen.
Rob Parpen Predator, fantastic plugin. It's actually already mapped for you, but I'll show you how to edit it effectively. It'll be the easiest way. So press View, make sure it's in View. There we go. Unfortunately, I have to click to edit it. Can't do that from the Panorama. And then basically what I can do is I can override these 8. We said we've got the 8 common parameters on the front page. Maybe you don't want those ones there, for example. Put it into Learn mode. Shift and menu puts it into Learn mode if there's already a plugin that's mapped, as is the case here. It flashes Learn so you know where you are. And you can see in the Learn menu, you've got the chance to clear parameters, clear them all, and then basically different pages that you can select that you want to edit. So it's
almost like a sub-editor, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And what you do is when you're in Learn mode, whenever you move a parameter on the display, so if I move the oscillator waveform 1, for example, and then you move a control here, it overrides it like so, straight away. And you can do that as many times as you like for your oscillators or for any parameter you want to map at all.
But if it's not got the knowledge of what the parameters are and that level of communication, if it's something that you've not even got anywhere near, do you have to then edit the titles and the names and things yourself? Or
no, you just map it in exactly this way. It's in Learn mode, Shift and assign.
Okay, and will it give you the readout here? Or?
It gives you the readout, it gives you the name that the DAW is seeing, in this case Cubase, and it gives you the value. Gives you that feedback, but it's not necessarily cleaned up in the way that we have for the maps. Right, it's not quite as in-depth as what
is that sort of piggybacking a little bit of the kind of Mackie kind of protocol, because that data is translated or transmitted in that way?
Sort of. I mean, the big difference is that you've got more than 8 parameters that you can map.
Right.
You've got the ability to obviously do it within a dedicated mode, and it fits in with the mixer mode and the transport mode as well. So you get the whole unique experience plus the ability to map your plugins, and I think that's what a lot of controllers that are coming out and touting DAW control now and using the Mackie protocol are missing, is really good integration with plugins. in particular. But with Panorama, we're taking it to whole new levels with parameter mapping and things, and we're doing it in a slightly long-winded way. It's a lot of work for us, but it's worth it, and you can see the results at the end.
Yeah,
of the
I mean,
day.
because most of the time you're just here. You're not even bothering to refer to that. But it's fair to say you know this pretty much inside out. But the idea is, I mean, the screen is very visible, isn't it? So that you can see what's going on there.
Yes, yeah. The screen is what makes this all possible. Actually, it'd be worth looking at what we do with our more budget controllers, the Impact series. We still use our plugin map system, but we use it in a slightly different way because you don't have the feedback. So you should probably look at that as well.
So through the magic of video editing, we've now replaced the Nektar P4 with the Impact LX25, and Tim, you're going to show us how this integrates with the Learn feature, right?
Yeah, basically with the budget controller range, the Impact, we haven't got the luxury of, or the budget, I should say, of giving you a full colour TFT display like on the Panorama. And so then you have to deal with the problem of, well, what do these controllers do when you haven't got that integration? One of the things about workflow that's so important is knowing what each parameter does, and the whole thing about the Panorama's display, which makes that all possible, is that there's no guesswork. You can see what everything's assigned to. In this case, you can't. So what do we do about that? Well, we're still using that same plugin mapping system. But we use it in a slightly different way on the Impact series. You still have access to every controller on the plugin, but it works like this. If we bring up the plugin, Shift Instrument, and up comes the instrument plugin on the display. You can see that in the instrument preset I've got useful parameters mapped by default. Cut-off resonance, common mappings, they go across the board on all of our Nektar controllers, which is nice, so that's fine, but you only know that because I told you. How many times are you sat in front of the display and you're thinking, I just want to control this parameter, I know what it is that I want to do, and I'd like to have tactile control from my controller, but how do I assign it? Right. And actually, what you can do with we've introduced what we call grab. Grab is a feature where you can grab any controller off the display and put it onto your MIDI controller. Right. Okay. And the way it works is by holding Shift, then you turn the parameters that you want to assign. So perhaps I want to do envelopes, attack, decay, sustain. So
you're just moving each of those in sequence.
Exactly, move them in sequence, and you move in sequence on the controller like so. And I've got my envelope up here. And that's it. It was like 5-10 seconds, if that.
And is that per document saved, or is that now saved in the bit the Nektar information? So if you load another instance of this plugin, will those mappings be in place, or is it per document? They're maintained until you shut down Cubase, although they're designed to be temporary, right? Because of course you're helping yourself to the controls you want. If you want to save what's done there, just press Shift twice very quickly like that, and that means that it will become the defaults next time you use the plugin. Ah, okay. So you can save any mapping that you do yourself. Now this works for not just for plugins that we've already mapped for any plugin across the board, because all we're doing is taking what we see. You don't have to deal with feedback parameter names and all that kind of thing. You just take what you need from the controller and put it on your MIDI controller. And the Impact range, this is the LX25. You've got other sizes in this range as well? Yes, 49, 61, and the 88 is coming. I wanted to show you the 25 today, mainly because it's due out this month to be able to buy in the UK from the shops, so keep an eye out for that. And also to tell you that this is only £89. So this amount of integration, this Nektar integration, with this abundance of control that you see on controls that are normally twice the price of this, you get this kind of workflow, this experience for just £89. So it's a great entry-level controller. With obviously grab, which really helps. I should also say that DAW support-wise, the plugin mapping system that we have, and the Impact series in particular, goes all the way from Cubase. We've got Logic, Reason, Reaper, Sonar, Digital Performer, pretty much anything apart from, unfortunately at the moment, Pro Tools and Ableton, both of which of course we're looking into. We don't just want to say this is what you get. We're always working on expanding our support across as many DAWs as possible. But with the Impact series, we've covered almost all of them.
we're hoping to do the same with Panorama. With all of our products, we want to support as many as we can. So if you're watching this and you haven't got Cubase or Reason or Logic or any of the others I've mentioned, you know,
it still works as a MIDI controller.
It still works as a MIDI controller. The integration obviously won't quite be there. The grab won't be there, but you know, it'll come eventually. Let's hope so. And you know, we're working on it, and we regularly update our firmware. And
Tim, thank you very much for this deep look at the plugins. So that's it for this time. If you want to check out the Bitwig integration that we did last time, there should be, as I said at the beginning, a button just here. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to our YouTube channel? Anyway, that's it for this time. See you next time.